classes. Fine. So in each of the batches there are 6 students maximum. It can be sometimes 1 student or 2 students batch, but 6 maximum students are there, and which help us to give an personalized attention to each and every student. And also it helps the student to ask any sort of doubt if they have regarding the topic to ask to the teacher, right? Coming to the third thing which we have is we have a very good academic mentor team who continuously track how the students are going, okay, how they're performing the homework, how they're performing their test, and also how they are doing in the classes. So accordingly we provide the feedback to you, and the student will be able to understand where they are lagging and they can improve on that, right? And fourthly, we cover the syllabus as per your school examination schedule. It may happen that some topics you have it in your school exam, but it is not there in uh, your, like, it has not been done in Swiflearn. So we will do those topics first, and then we will move on to the rest of the topic, right? Hi Manju, how are you? Acha, you were in class 7. Okay, great, great. So these are the general features of Swiflearn. Now let me tell you what are the key features. So first of all, we maintain a detailed progress report of each and every student, right? So how you are doing in the classes, what is your understanding capacity, what is your competitive approach, all of them, and in which topic you are totally prepared, in which topic you were lagging, everything will be like tracked, and there these are all the different parameters which will be there in your progress report. तो ये प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट आपके पास जाएंगे, राइट जैसे आपके स्कूल से भी प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट आते हैं, एंड डेफिनेटली पीटीएम भी होता है, तो सिमिलरली इधर भी पीटीएम होता है. द पेरेंट्स कैन आस्क एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ डाउट, and definitely if you have any doubt you can discuss in the PTM, and if we have to give any sort of feedback we can also give it to you, right? So this will be in both the ways. So this is the main importance of the progress report. Fine. Coming to the second thing, which is the SAT. We have the Swiflearn academic test series, in short, which we call it as the SAT, which happen every Sunday. You can perform over there and you will be able to understand what is your rank. Okay, so your rank will be given along with your name on the leaderboard. Fine. So coming to the very important part, that is the test. Okay, so you already know practice makes a man perfect, right? So after completing each and every topic, what you have to do, you have to practice the question answers again and again. So we have an unlimited practice test over there. All the types of questions will be there, both subjective and objective. जैसे आपके स्कूल में भी रहता है, बोर्ड एग्जाम में भी आते हैं, like MCQs, true, false, match the column on odd one out. So these types of questions will be there in the objective, as well as subjective questions are also there. You will have to solve all this question and answer so that your concept will be totally clear. Fine. And if you have any sort of difficulties, you can definitely ask to Swiflearn teachers, and the teacher will help you to guide you how to write down the answers. Okay, so in which answer you need to include the diagram, which answer you need to include the chemical equations and all, depending upon the different subjects. So these types of tips and tricks definitely we will give it to you, so that you will never lose any marks in your board exam as well as the school exam. So we are going to start with a new chapter today. As you already know, that is the photosynthesis, which is present in class 10th syllabus of ICSE board. So you are now in board exam, like board class, right? So this is very important for you to be there throughout the session. So I'm requesting you, please be with me till the end, so that if you have any sort of confusion, any question, you can also ask me in the chat box. Hi Manish. Okay, so to experience all these features of Swiflearn, what you have to do, you have to book the free trial class. Okay, so you have to book the free trial class and experience all these things, and the new admission is also going on for the new session. So enroll your name and come to our regular batches, so that we can regularly meet and we can definitely go with all the different subject, with all the different topics. And if you have any sort of doubt, you can clear everything in Swiflearn, right? Okay. Hi, Ruchi. Good afternoon. Okay. So let me remind you another thing, that is, please subscribe our channel who has not subscribed it till now, and press the bell icon so that you will never miss any of the update of the upcoming sessions. So stay till the end and subscribe the channel now only. Okay, so and also do not forget to like, comment and share. Okay. Chalo. So let us now move on to the topic. As I have already mentioned that we will study about the photosynthesis. It is a very important process. Can anybody tell me about anything about the photosynthesis and why it is so much important to study this process uh, like separately, rather separately, which doesn't take place within our body also? Yeah. So, what is the value of this topic, or why do you think that this topic is very much important? We should always know about this process. Why do you think so? What do you get from this process? Yes. Is it giving any sort of benefit to us, or it is just giving some benefit to the plants? And where is this process happen? So all these types of question may come to your mind, and definitely I would like to get these answers from you only. Okay, so I can see many of you are listening to my session, and I would like to also tell you that if I ask you any question, whoever will give me most of the answers correctly, he or she will be the student of the session, and at last in the end of the session I will write his or her name on the screen. Okay, so keep on asking your doubt, keep on give me the answers whatever questions I am asking. Okay, so as you already know, photosynthesis, definitely you have studied it previously also in the lower grades also, that it is the process which takes place within the plants only, right? It doesn't happen within the animals. But why it is important to know? Because this is the only process by which the plants can make their food, right? Is there any process by which we can make our own food? Let us see. Let me see whether we can also make our own food or not. Okay. Chalo. So let me tell you what we will mainly discuss about in this session. Today mainly we will discuss about the photosynthesis. What is the process about? Hi Nildeep. Okay, so we will discuss about the different like the total process of photosynthesis, what are the different terms which are related to the photosynthesis process, and definitely the raw materials which are needed for the performance of this photosynthetic process, right? Then we will move on to the next thing, that is chloroplast, which contain the chlorophyll. That is very important because chloroplast is a special type of cellular organelle which is mainly present in the plant cell, which is not found in animal cells, right? You already know about the plant cell, animal cells, and the chloroplast. It is one type of plastid, and you already know that plastid is of three types: chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. तो chloroplast उसके एक है, and this type of plastic mainly contain the green color pigment, that is the chlorophyll. तो ये green color pigment का role क्या है in case of the photosynthetic process? We will see this one. Okay, then we will move on to the main thing, another, without which the other raw materials will not be able to absorb by the plant, as well as the main thing, that is oxygen, will not be liberated by the plant also. What is that? That is the pore which are present on the leaves, mainly on the leaves. Those are known as the stomata. Okay, so how the stomata is opening and how the stomata is closing, what are the different theories behind it? We will study about two main theories which are there in your syllabus. Okay, so this is what we will discuss in today's session. Yes, Nildeep, you will be able to know about the monthly fees of Swiflearn in our website. It is all the details are given over there. So that contact number of our team is also given. If you have any queries, you can call and they will give you all this information. Okay, beta? Chalo. So, have you ever imagined like why do our body cannot make the food? What would happen if our body can make the food? Yes. तो आज डिनर में अगर मुझे लगता है कि आज पिज्जा खाऊंगी, बस पिज्जा रेडी. Yes, from our body only we will synthesize the pizza and that yummy pizza we will eat it, right? और ये भी हो सकता है कि आपके मन में आएगा आज बिरयानी खाऊंगी, या फिर आज ना थोड़ा सा आइसक्रीम खाने का मन है. Yes. तो is it possible for our body to make this ice cream, pizza, biryani and all? No, na. Yes. So, unfortunately, people cannot make their own food. We can make the different types of yummy dishes, but the main raw materials by which we are making this all the different dishes, they are all coming from the plants and other animals, like the different herbivores or the plant eating animals. So, the main source of the food is the plant only. है ना? Because the plant can only make their own food, right? So, what about plant if they want to make the food of their choice, do you think that yes they can make it? Do you agree? Yes, Nildev, which one is your favorite? Okay, so plant can make their own food, right? And this process of making the food on their own by utilizing the different raw materials from the nature is known as photosynthesis. Up to this much you already know, right? In previous classes you already have an idea, like the green plants can make their own food and the process of making the food is known as photosynthesis. इतना तो आपका मतलब knowledge है ही, right? So now we will study a more detail about how this process of photosynthesis happen, okay? Because you are in class 10th now, तो class 10th में थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा detail में रहेंगे, right? So all the theories behind this process we will mainly study about in this session, okay? So, first of all, these green plants can synthesize their food. Why? Because they are autotrophs. तो ये autotrophs या फिर autotrophic nutrition का मतलब क्या है? Auto मतलब on their own, okay? And trophic matlab they can make their food on their own, right? So हम क्या autotroph है या फिर कुछ और है? Can anybody tell me whether the human being or any other animals are also autotrophs or something else? And if something else, so who are we? Okay, so we cannot make the food on our own, so definitely we will not come under the category of autotrophs, right? So only green plants and some blue green algae can make their food because they have certain specific thing which helps them to make the food. What is that? That is the chlorophyll. That gives them the green color. अगर chlorophyll हमारे अंदर भी रहते तो we would also be green in color and we could also make the food, right? Yes, very good, Nildev. We are heterotrophs. Exactly, yes. Yes, you are in class 9th. Acha, okay, no issue. That is fine also because photosynthesis though you have already studied in 7th, right? Yes. So we are the heterotrophs. That means we cannot make our own food. But okay, but the plants are autotrophs and that is why they can make their own food. So this process of making the food by the green plants by utilizing the four main things. देखो इधर four main things क्या क्या use हो रहे हैं? First one is the sunlight, second one is the water, third one is the carbon dioxide, and the fourth one is they already have the chlorophyll. So these are the four main raw materials by which they can make their own food, right? So these four raw materials help them to perform the process of photosynthesis. And in turn वो क्या बना रहे हैं? The food. What type of food? Anybody, can you tell me what type of food is made by the plants? Yes? Any answer? What type of food is made by the plants? Okay, let me get this answer in the chat box, okay? And do not forget to subscribe our channel also and keep on like, comment and share. In the video, let us first see the preliminary idea of the photosynthesis and then we will move on to the detail of the photosynthesis, right? Chalo.
What would life be without photosynthesis? Well, you may think it perfectly fine and maybe possibly even be happier because you wouldn't have to learn about it in science lessons. But actually, we wouldn't have life without it. The process of life depends upon it. Not only are photosynthetic organisms the main producers of food, but without photosynthesis, Earth's atmosphere would lose its oxygen. The general gist of what happens in photosynthesis is that green plants and algae trap light from the sun to fix carbon dioxide with hydrogen and water. This makes organic compounds which then provide food for not only the plant itself but also all animals. So now that we know how important it is and how it starts off all of our food production, you can see why we need to learn more about it in detail. Photosynthesis happens in leaf cells. They contain tiny organelles called chloroplast, which contains a green substance called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll molecules sit on the surface of the chloroplasts and capture light energy from the sun, which is fundamental for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction in which carbon dioxide and water are converted to glucose and oxygen by the energy provided from the light energy absorbed by chlorophyll. It is an endothermic reaction because it takes in energy from its surroundings. We show the light energy in brackets because whilst it is not a substance, it is an essential requirement for photosynthesis to happen. We could have written the equation like this instead. The equation is a very simple representation for a complex process, but is as much detail as we need to know at this stage. So we know the light energy comes from the sun and is absorbed by chlorophyll. But where do the carbon dioxide and water come from? Plants absorb water through their roots, and it moves through the plants and into the leaves by transpiration. Watch our video on xylem and transpiration to learn more about this process. Carbon dioxide enters into the leaves from the air through the stoma on the underside of the leaf. What then happens? Glucose and oxygen are made. Some of the glucose is placed for respiration and some is converted into insoluble starch. This can then be stored and turned back into glucose at a later stage. Oxygen is actually just a byproduct of photosynthesis. There are some useful byproducts in this world: sawdust from the lumber industry, smoke detectors from space research, but I think we can all agree that producing oxygen is the most valuable of all byproducts. Green plants are called producers or autotrophs because they have the ability to produce their own food. They are the start of the food chain, and every animal relies upon them either directly if they are a herbivore like a rabbit, or indirectly if they are a carnivore like a fox. So you just need to remember that carbon dioxide and water react to glucose and oxygen in the presence of light energy from the sun. This happens inside the chloroplasts in the leaf, with chlorophyll being the green pigment that absorbs the light energy. The glucose made by photosynthesis feeds all animals on Earth, and the oxygen made keeps us alive.
Okay, so this is the overall process of the photosynthesis. Now we will step by step go to the process of the photosynthesis, from where the plant is taking the carbon dioxide, from where the plant is taking the water, how it is going inside the plant body, and in which portion the main process of photosynthesis is happening. Right? Okay, so till now you have already got an idea that what is photosynthesis. It is just a process by which the autotrophs, mainly the green plants, can make their own food. And during making this own food, what they are doing, they are generally converting the light energy into chemical energy. Now, this definition is very important in class 10th standard. Why? Because you in class 10 cannot write that photosynthesis is the process, simply process which takes place in the green plants to make their own food. This is a basic thing, right? So to add on, you have to write that it basically converting the light energy to the chemical energy. So light energy kahan se milte hain? Definitely from the sunlight, and they are just taking absorbing the sunlight, and they are converted into converting that energy into chemical energy, that is in the form of glucose, right? So this is the main thing which you have to include in the definition of photosynthesis. And then this energy will be required by all the different activities which will be done within the plant body. Clear hai na? Yes. So now let us move on to the process of photosynthesis. So this is the chemical energy which is stored within the plant body as the sugar. So you already know by the process of photosynthesis, what do they make? They make the glucose, and glucose is one form of sugar only. This is the simplest form of carbohydrate or simplest form of sugar. Now after making this glucose, they basically transfer them from the leaves to all the different parts of the plant body. So how do they transfer them? With the help of the water, as well as the glucose will go from one place to another in the form of sucrose, right? And finally it will go to its destination, to all the different parts of the plant body, and finally it will be stored in the particular part in the form of starch. Okay, so this glucose, sucrose, starch, these are nothing but just the different forms of sugar, or just the three different forms of carbohydrate, we can say, right? So glucose is the simplest carbohydrate. Now that is monosaccharide. You already have an idea about monosaccharide, disaccharide and all, right? Hi Abhay. Then when the two glucose molecules will join with each other to form the sucrose, they will be able to transfer from the leaves to all the different parts of the plant. And finally, when they will move and they will reach their proper destination, they will be stored by the plant in the form of starch. So starch will be the complex form of the sugar. Okay, but all of them are the different forms of the carbohydrate or sugar. Now this photosynthesis, we can say that it need the main important thing, that is the photosynthetic pigment. ये photosynthetic pigment कौन सा है? This is the chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is not about like only one type of pigment. It is a lot of different types of chlorophylls are also present, like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and along with that the other pigments also help in the process of photosynthesis, jaise carotene, xanthophyll, right? So these are the different pigments which generally we find them in the chloroplast and the other plastids, right? So this sunlight, carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll, these are the four main raw materials which help the plant to do the photosynthesis process properly, and finally they will make the glucose type of food and they will liberate the oxygen. Now what is that we will study here. What is pigment? Matlab pigment is a color, beta. Okay, Abhay, pigment is a type of color, definitely, which gives like hemoglobin is a pigment which gives the red color in our blood. Okay, and chlorophyll is the green colored pigment which is basically present in the chloroplast of the green plants. Okay, that is why the color of the plants are green. Understood? Chalo. Now, all these green plants are autotrophic in nature, including the different blue-green algae. Okay, these are also known as the cyanobacteria. That is the blue-green algae. They all have the chlorophyll within this, and that is why they can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now, what is the byproduct of photosynthesis? The main product or byproduct क्या होता है? Main product मतलब जो खाना बनाते हैं, that is the main product. That is the glucose. तो ग्लूकोज के साथ साथ they also produce the oxygen, and oxygen is the byproduct of this process. Okay, so oxygen is liberated by the plant during this process, and that is how this is given in the form of the equation. I will tell you that whenever you will get a question in your board exam or any school exam, that what do you mean by photosynthesis or define photosynthesis, I will give you this suggestion to write the definition properly. Along with that, please include this chemical equation of photosynthesis. Okay, then only a good uh, image will be created by your teacher on you, and definitely you will get the full marks. Okay, sometimes what happen, if you don't give the proper equation, then maybe you may lose marks. Okay, so these are the different tips or tricks how to get the full marks in board exam also. So please do give the chemical equation of photosynthesis whenever you are writing the definition. So what is the reaction? You can see over here that carbon dioxide, when it is reacting with water, they in the presence of sunlight, and another thing it is missed over here, it is missing, that is chlorophyll. In presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, basically glucose is producing. This is the main product, and along with glucose, oxygen is also producing. That is the byproduct. Fine. So 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O, we can see that along with the presence of the sunlight and the chlorophyll, they are giving the glucose, which means C6H12O6 is the formula of the glucose, and 6O2, that is the oxygen. Okay, so do write this equation, the second one. Okay, the chemical equation of the photosynthesis along with the definition. So the glucose over here is produced and it acts as a fuel, right? It acts as a fuel so that all the different cellular activities can be performed by the plant. So the byproduct of this one is oxygen and the main product of this process is nothing but the glucose. Clear hand up to this much? Yes, this is very simple. I know you have already studied all these things. Now, I would like to ask you another thing. That is, you always see that your mama or anybody is cooking the different types of yummy dishes in your kitchen, right? Why in the kitchen? Because all the different raw materials, the different spices, the vegetables, the different sauces and all oil and whatever is needed for cooking the different dishes, these are all available in the kitchen. Yeah. So, which part of the plant do you think this kitchen of the is known as the kitchen of the plant, and all of them are readily available? All the raw materials are very readily available, and that is why that particular part of the plant can make their own food. Yes, let me see who can give me this answer. Which part of the plant is known as the kitchen of the plant, and that is why the food is made in that particular plant part only. Which part? Yes, Nildeep, Abhay. I hope you all are here, right? Very good. Leaves. Exactly, Abhay. So, leaves are known as the kitchen of the plant. Why? Because in the leaves, all the different raw materials are coming and they are present. They are helping the chlorophyll to make their own food. So, the chloroplast, which is present in the leaves mainly, they are absorbing the sunlight and the process of photosynthesis takes place within the chloroplast. Fine. So this chloroplast are nothing but the cellular organelles which are present within the leaves of the plant. Clear, Hannah? Hi, Margaret. Okay. Now let us see what is actually present in the chloroplast and how does it look like. Have you ever seen the chloroplast under microscope or something like that? Yes? Okay, so this is the chloroplast. From outside, you will see just like the oval shaped structure like this. Okay, but if you cut and see inside, then you will be able to see that it is made up of two membranes, right? There is the outer membrane and the inner membrane. It is a double membrane bound cell organelles, and the two main things which are present within the chloroplast is the grana and the stroma. What is the grana? Can you see the different disc shaped structure which are stacked one upon another? Yes. So each of them are known as the thylakoid. Okay. Each one of them are known as the thylakoid, as you can see the round disc shaped structure, and all of them when they are stacking one upon another like the coins, like the stack of the coins, if you put it one upon another together, it is known as the granum. Okay, together it is known as the granum. Granum is the singular word and grana is the plural word. Okay, and what is the stroma? It is nothing, just the matrix which is present within it, the fluid thing which is present within the chloroplast is known as the stroma. Clear hai? Now let me tell you one very interesting thing, that this chloroplast is the cellular organelle which have their own ribosome, they have their own DNA also. Okay, this is the chloroplast DNA. The own DNA is present within the chloroplast and mitochondria. So mitochondria and chloroplast, these are the only two cellular organelles which have their own DNA apart from the DNA of the nucleus. Clear hai? Hi Mani, how are you, ma'am? Okay, so this is all about the chloroplast structure, and can you see these connections? From one disc, another disc is connected through a network like structure. Yes, these are known as the stroma lamellae. Okay, these are known as the lamellae. Fine. So this is all about the structure of the chloroplast. I hope that you have already got an idea how the chloroplast looks like. Yes. Now this is the main organ within which organelle, cellular organelle within which the process of photosynthesis takes place. So this is the site for the process of photosynthesis. Why? Because this chloroplast mainly contain the green color pigment which is known as the chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll helps in absorption of the sunlight, and then by doing the different other steps it will finally make the glucose type of food, right? So this is the main cellular organelle which is very much important for the process of photosynthesis. Clear hai? Now we will study about where it is mainly present. See, this is the leaf, right? So the leaves are have, if you see it under the microscope, you will be able to understand how it looks like under the microscope. The various types of cells are present. Now within each of the cells we will find that 20 to 40 to sometimes 50, 60 also chloroplast are present. Chloroplast are nothing but the different types of plastid. It is one type of plastid. So within this chloroplast, we will find this tack-like structure, this disc-shaped structure, which are known as the grana. Okay, and this grana will help in the process of photosynthesis by absorbing the sunlight. Okay, so the solar energy is absorbed by this grana of the chloroplast, and finally after going to the different steps it will finally help the plant to make their food. Yes, no money. Non-green plant cannot absorb the sunlight, the rays of the sunlight. If you think about the non-green plant, and if you talk about only there are certain plants which are having their leaves which are purple in color, but those plants can make their own food, right? Why? Because they also have the chlorophyll within them, but there are certain other different pigments which are more in amount, and that is why they just mask the color of the chlorophyll. Okay, so those maybe they are non green, but they are purple or some other different types of colored leaves are there, but they can also perform the photosynthesis. Understood? Yes. From where do they get the warmth? Okay. So they mainly get the solar energy from the sunlight, and sunlight is very important for the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Yes, Margaret, hidden chlorophyll. Exactly. The chlorophyll remains hidden. Okay. Chalo. So the chlorophyll is the reason why the plants are green, and definitely, as I have already mentioned, that you can see the different leaves of the plants which are purple or sometimes other maroon color also. Yeah, the beautiful colors. But do not think that they do not have chlorophyll. They also have chlorophyll, but those chlorophyll pigments are masked by some other different pigments. Clear hai? Yes. So this is the vital component of the plant where the photosynthesis takes place. Now, do you think that only the photosynthesis takes place in the green plant? No. The algae is also green in nature, but we cannot see them without the microscope. If you see them, the certain algae like the cyanobacteria, we can say the blue-green algae, they also contain the chlorophyll, and that is why they can also make their own food, right? So they circulate this chloroplast circulate within the cells, and that is how they uh, give the green color to the plant parts. Okay, now this chloroplast, basically this chloroplast has been derived from a Greek word. Okay, what is the Greek word? That is chloros, that means green, and phylon, that means leaves. So the green leaves are having this chloroplast. Okay, so that is why it is given them the particular name, that is chloroplast. Clear, Hannah? Now let us move on to the structure of the chloroplast in detail. So you can see already, I have already shown you the structure in the 3D. I'll definitely again show you the structure. So it is basically covered with the two membranes, the outermost membrane and the inner membrane. So both of them are the plain membrane. Now within the chloroplast you can see the disc shaped structure. Each of them is known as the thylakoid, and the fluid which is present within the chloroplast is known as the stroma. Fine. So the thylakoid, when they are stacked upon one another, they are making the uh, image like if you just stack the different coins upon one upon another. Okay, so that particular uh, that particular thing is known as the granum. Okay, so thylakoid is nothing, just one disc is known as thylakoid, and when the different discs are stacking one upon another, that particular thing is known as the granum. Up to this much clear, Hannah? Yes. So how many chloroplasts can be present within one cell? There can be 40 to 50 chloroplasts which can be present stacking upon one another. Sorry, the chloroplast can be present within which the grana can be, the thylakoids can be stacked upon one another. Okay. So let us now again see what is the structure of the chloroplast. So this is the structure of the chloroplast. I have already shown you this is the outermost structure having the two membranes. So the outer membrane and the inner membrane pale green in color you can see over here, and the stroma is the matrix which is present. It is not visible clearly over here, but you can see that this each disc shaped structure is known as the thylakoid, and when they are stacking one upon another together it is known as the granum. Okay, so over here together it is known as the granum. So this is all about the structure of the chloroplast. Fine. Now let us move on to the process of photosynthesis. The product of photosynthesis, as I have already mentioned, that is the glucose and fructose. Glucose, fructose, galactose, these are the three main monosaccharides. Okay, so these sugars are first produced within the leaves, and then they are traveled to all the different parts of the plant like the roots, stems, fruits, flowers and all, right, seeds and all. And in other words, we can also say that the sugars are used by the plants as the main source of energy. This energy will help the plant to grow properly. Fine. So this is the plant. You can see that they are absorbing the water from the soil. They are absorbing the carbon dioxide which enters within the leaves through the stomata. They are already taking the sunlight and they are already having the chloroplast. So this is how they are making the process of, they are making the food by the process of photosynthesis. I will now show you how they are taking the water and how they are getting, from where they are getting the carbon dioxide. Okay. Yes. So this is the plant. You can see over here, this is the plant. This one is the root under the ground and this one is the stem having the different leaves, right? So starting from the stem, the very first one, starting from the stem, we can see that the plant process of photosynthesis takes place. The root is absorbing the water and minerals, and finally it is giving it to the stem, and through the stem it is going to the leaves, and finally in the leaves the photosynthesis will take place, right? The second thing is the root. Can you see the water molecules are absorbed by the root? Whatever water is present within the soil, it is all absorbed by the root, right? After absorption, this root, it is going through the root, the xylem vessels, through the root xylem vessel to the stem, and finally it is moving upward, right? Can you see these all are moving upward towards the leaves? This is the xylem vessel where you can see that the different water molecules are moving. Yes. Next is the leaves. So leaves में क्या है? The different stomata are present, right? The tiny pores which are known as the stomata are present, and this stomata basically helps in the absorption of the carbon dioxide. Okay, so the leaves are taking the sunlight also, which is accepted by the chloroplast, and the stomata will open to absorb the carbon dioxide. This is what happening on the leaves. So this is the structure of the stomata in detail. You can see that these are the structure of the stomata through which the carbon dioxide goes inside the leaves and oxygen comes out of the leaves after the process of photosynthesis, right? So through the veins and all, the water will go to all the parts of the leaves, and the leaves will get the carbon dioxide and sunlight, and finally the process of photosynthesis will take place within the leaves only. Clear up to this much? Yes. Okay, so this is about the process of photosynthesis. It's amazing, right? Okay. Now, this sugar molecules then will combine with each other to form the complex molecule. Whenever they will form the sucrose, they will go to all the different parts of the plant body and they will be stored over there in the form of starch. Okay, that is nothing but one complex uh, form of carbohydrate. So this cellulose and starch are considered as the structural materials that helps them to make the cell walls. Okay, the cellulose is the main thing which is helping them to make the cell wall, which is the extra protection of the cell of the plant. Okay, which we do not have in our animal cell. So this is all about the photosynthesis and its process, like 6 CO2 is combining with 6 H2O, and in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll they are making the carbohydrate type of food, that is the glucose, and they are also liberating the byproduct, that is oxygen. Clear hai? Now, how do the plant actually absorb the carbon dioxide? They get the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere only. Yes. So, how they are getting this from the atmosphere? By opening the stomata. Okay. So, the stomata are present in both the sides of the leaves. Mainly in case of the dicotyledonous plant, more stomata is present in the lower surface of the leaves than the upper surface. But if you think about the monocotyledonous plant, then in both the surfaces, lower and upper, the distribution of the stomata is equal. Okay. Now, this stomata is guarded by the two guard cells, and when the guard cells are having their water content more, then it will become thickened and gradually the stomata will open. And when the stomata will open, all the carbon dioxide, like whatever carbon dioxide is needed by the plant, it will be absorbed from the atmosphere. And finally, when there is no more water in the guard cell, it will become flaccid and it will become flattened, and finally the stomata will be closed, right? So this opening and closing of the stomata is very important mechanism which takes place and which helps in the process of photosynthesis. Why? Because of this opening and the closing of the stomata, only the carbon dioxide can get inside the plant, the oxygen can go out of the plant. Okay, the gaseous exchange takes place due to the opening and the closing of the stomata. Now let us see, before going to the opening and closing of the stomata, what are basically present in the stomata. So stomata is nothing, just this pore. This pore is known as the stomata. It is not a cell. Okay, never just misunderstand this key. Stomata is a cell. No, stomata is not a cell, it is just a pore, and this pore is guarded by the two cells which is known as the guard cells. So these two are the guard cells which are basically guarding the stomata, and finally around it are the different epidermal cells. So when the water enters within the guard cells, let me show you by this. When the water enters within the guard cell, what happens? When the water enters within the guard cell, these guard cells become bulge. Okay, they swells up, and finally what happened? They become very rigid and they bend like this. Okay, and due to this bending, what happened? The water or the carbon dioxide enters within the stomata. Okay, so it goes inside the stomata, and finally when the water loss takes place due to the process of transpiration and all, what will happen? Again the guard cell will become flattened, it will become flexible, and it will become flat like this, and whenever it will become flat, the stomata will be closed. So this is how it will be shrink, and shrinkage takes place and stomata will be closed, and this is how the opening and the closing of the stomata continuously takes place within the leaves. Okay, and this opening and the closing of the stomata basically helps them in changing the different gases to take the carbon dioxide and liberating the oxygen. Hi Ashish, good afternoon. Okay, so how the plants obtain their water now? We have already got an idea how they obtain their carbon dioxide or the gas. Now we will study how they are obtaining the water. Very simple. You have already studied about this in the previous session, right? Yes. Hi, Yuvraj. Okay. So the water is basically absorbed by the roots of the plant. By which process? They absorb the water by the process of osmosis. How? Because water is more in the soil, less in the root, right? So by the process of osmosis, definitely we have already got an idea ki, all the molecules, the water molecules, all the solvent molecules will move from the region of the higher concentration to the region of the lower concentration. And do not forget that they also have to cross the semi permeable membrane, right? So over here in the plant root, who is the semi permeable membrane? Cell membrane, right? So the cell membrane, by crossing the cell membrane, the water is entering from the soil inside the root, and this is how the water is absorbed by the root from the soil and by the process of osmosis. This is how the water is obtained for the photosynthesis. Finally, it will move into the roots, then it will move to the xylem vessel of the root, and it goes it upward, okay, upward through the stem, and finally it will be distributed to all the different leaves, and within the leaves this process of photosynthesis will take place. Clear hai? Now, this regulation of the stomatal opening and closing is taking place by the different things. Okay. So, the main function of this opening and closing of the stomata is the gaseous exchange. Carbon dioxide is needed, so it will go inside the plant body, and oxygen is made, like it is liberated during the process, so it has to go out, and that oxygen is very important because while breathing we are taking that oxygen, and that is why the photosynthesis process is so much important and it is beneficial to us also. Okay, we always keep it in mind, we should always keep it in mind that we have to plant more and more plants, trees around us, so that we can also get large amount of oxygen, which will be helpful for our body to survive. Clear hai na? Yes. So during the daytime, basically they take the carbon dioxide, gives the oxygen, but during the night time, stomata when it is closed, they basically gives out the carbon dioxide. Okay, so water loss will be less over there. Now, this opening and closing of the stomata is due to the presence of the water within the guard cell. Can you see? Whenever the water is more in the guard cell, it is becoming thickened and it is bending. So, opening of the stomata takes place. And when the water is not there that much within the guard cell, what is happening? The guard cell will become flexible, it will become flaccid, it will become shrink, and definitely the closing of the stomata will take place. Now, this theory of opening and the closing of stomata is explained by two main theories which are present in your syllabus. One is the sugar concentration theory and the second one is the potassium ion theory. ठीक है? So, ये sugar concentration and potassium ion theory क्या है? Very simple. Listen to me, like already you have an idea कि कैसे water enters the guard cell, and that is how opening of the stomata takes place. Same thing happens over here also. See, so these are the guard cells. Okay, so whenever there is more sugar, so whenever after photosynthesis there is more sugar, so what will happen? The sugar concentration is more inside the guard cell, and that will help the water molecule to enter into it, and whenever the water molecule will enter inside it, definitely it will become turgid and bulge, and finally the stomatal opening will take place. Same thing happens just the opposite. When the water will get lost, what will happen? It will become flaccid and closing of the stomata will take place. So it depends upon the sugar concentration theory. More sugar matlab more water will enter, more water will enter matlab opening of the stomata. Clear hai up to this much? Yes. Any doubt till now? Same thing happens in case of the potassium ion theory also. If they have the more potential potassium ion, definitely there will be a higher degree of osmotic pressure, and that osmotic pressure will increase the capability of the cell to absorb more and more water. अभी ये ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा water अगर आ जाएंगे तो definitely it will swell up and it will become a bulge, and finally the stomata will open, right? So opening of the stomata also will be regulated by this potassium ion theory. So these are the two main theories which are very important, which is there in your syllabus. So this is how the potassium ion theory says that whenever there is more potassium inside the gut cells, more water will be absorbed. More water absorbed matlab it will become bulged out, it will become thickened and turgid, and finally stomatal pore will be opened, and gaseous exchange accordingly will take place, right? So just the opposite will happen in case of this closing of the stomata. Okay, closing of the stomata with the help of the guard cell, whenever there will be no potassium ion or sugar in them, so water will also get lost, and finally due to the loss of the water it will become shrink. Okay, it will become flaccid, and finally the due to the absence of this one it will close the stomatal pore. So this is how the opening and the closing of the stomata takes place, right? Now let us ask some of the questions. So let it be up to this much for today's session. We will again discuss more about the process of photosynthesis in the next session. So let me ask you some of the question. Let me see who can give me most of the answers correctly. My first question is, which of this is not true for the chloroplast structure? Which is not true for the chloroplast structure? Let me see who can give me this answer. There are four options. First one is they are oval in shape. Second is granum is a stack of thylakoid. Thirdly, they have two membranes. And fourthly, stroma is the space between the outer within the outer membrane. Which one of this is not true or false for the process of like for the structure of chloroplast? You can write it down A, B, C, or D in this manner in the chat box. Okay, let me see who can give me the correct answer. Okay, let me also tell you the second question is the photosynthesis. Where does the photosynthesis occur? Does it occur within the chloroplast or Golgi bodies or endoplasmic reticulum or nucleus? Yes. So the first answer will be stroma is space between the within the outer membrane, right? This will be the wrong statement for the chloroplast structure, right? Stroma is nothing, just a matrix. It is the matrix which is present within the chloroplast. It is not the space within the outer membrane. Fine. And which one be the correct answer for the second question? Yes. Chloroplast, right? Photosynthesis takes place within the chloroplast. Okay, so don't forget these answers. Let us discuss some of the other questions also. Okay, like what is photosynthesis? If you get this type of question, definitely you will give the proper definition. That is, photosynthesis is a biological process of making the food, and what are the raw materials also you have to mention over there, and the process of photosynthesis you have to explain. Okay, with the chemical equation also. Second is the what is the significance of the photosynthesis? Significance मतलब importance क्या है? First importance है कि it is maintaining the carbon dioxide and oxygen balance in nature. So due to the process of photosynthesis, first though it is giving the food to all the human being and all the different animals, right? And secondly, the oxygen gas is also liberated, which helps us in the process of respiration. Third, this question is also very important. That is the write down the chemical equation of photosynthesis. If it is mentioned with the definition, then also you have to give this chemical equation. Please learn this one. Okay. So 6 CO2 with 6 what molecules of water will give 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. Fine. This is the chemical equation. Now let me tell you one fact, that is the scientist who is known as the father of photosynthesis was born 287 years ago. On Friday, Google paid the tribute to Jan Ingenhorst, who is the scientist, Dutch scientist in 1730, who first discovered the process of photosynthesis. Okay, that is the plant can make their own food with the help of the sunlight only. Okay, chalo. So let us see what we have already learned in today's session. We have discussed about the process of photosynthesis, the reaction, about the structure of the chloroplast, how stomata helps in the process of photosynthesis, and also the two theories of the opening and closing of the stomata, that is sugar concentration theory and the potassium ion theory. Right. So thanks for being with me till the end, and thank you very much. I hope that you have already understood whatever we have discussed, right? So we will again meet in the next session. So let me remind you again that please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon so that you will never miss any of the update of the upcoming sessions, right? So stay with us, stay with Swiflearn and learn with Swiflearn, and do like, comment and share all the time. We will again meet in next session. So